Welcome to my class. Today I am talking about the nerves and vessels of the orbit. The learning objectives of the today's topic, it includes course and distribution of the optic nerve, ciliary ganglia, course and branches of the ophthalmic nerve, oculomotor nerve, trochlear nerve, abducens nerve, ophthalmic artery, its branches and course, ophthalmic vein, and clinical aspects. The optic nerve, as a paired sensory nerves, transmit the information from the retina to the visual cortex of the brain. So it is arise from the optic disc of the eyeball from the retina and extend up to the optic chiasma. So the length of the optic nerve, it is about 4 cm in length. It has consisting of the two functional components. One is the special somatic afferent for vision from the retina to the visual cortex, and afferent fibers for papillary light reflex. So these are the very important. You can see the lateral geniculate body, then optic radiation is synapse with the visual cortex. So for the discussion purpose, optic nerve divides into 4 parts. A smaller part is the intraocular part, and largest part is the intraorbital part, intracanaliculaar part, and fourth one is the intracranial part. So the entire length of the optic nerve, it's about 4 cm in length. And you can see that in this slide the visual pathway of the optic nerve. So each optic nerve is carry the sensory fibers. It is about 1.2 million of the myelinated fibers. These fibers are synapse with the optic chiasma, and then from there the optic chiasma, it gives the optic tract that will be synapse with the lateral geniculate body. From the lateral geniculate body, the fibers, hair-like fibers of the optic radiation, it is arise in either side, that will be synapse with the visual cortex of the brain. So let us see the schematic diagram of the course and then relation of the optic nerve. Let us see here the optic nerve, which is the second part of the cranial nerve, which receive the sensory fibers, purely sensory in nature. It will passes through the inside the common tendinous ring, enter into the optic canal. From there it will be enter the medial cranial fossa, passes over the nasociliary nerve, ophthalmic vessels, and join the optic chiasma. From there it gives the two branches or two tracts, the two optic tracts. These two optic tract fibers are bilateral direction and ipsilateral direction. That means 53% of the optic tracts, that is a flow in the opposite direction of the lateral geniculate body, and 47% of the optic tracts that will flow into the ipsilateral direction of the same side of the lateral geniculate body. The optic nerve radiations are the hair-like fibers that will arise from the in either side of the lateral geniculate body. Then it will be synapse with the visual cortex of the brain. The blood supply of the optic nerve is central retinal artery, which is the branch of the ophthalmic artery, and similarly the optic tract is supplied by the anterior choroidal artery and then posterior communicating artery. The visual cortex of the brain is supplied by the middle cerebral artery, posterior cerebral artery. So the occultation of the posterior cerebral artery, that will be adverse effect to the visual defects of the cortex of the brain. You can see that optic nerve oculotis, it's don't have the neurolema, means it's a the optic nerve is not capable to regenerate. So that's why if it is the any small lesions may occur in the optic nerve, permanent blindness may occur. The optic nerve is surrounded by the three layers of the meninges in the form of dura mater, arachnoid mater and pia mater, and in either side of the optic nerve consisting of the primary and secondary neurons. Each optic nerve is consisting of the 1.2 millions of the myelinated nerve fibers. The optic nerve related with the after exit from the optic canal enter into the middle cranial fossa. It's related with the ophthalmic artery, superior ophthalmic vein and nasociliary nerve. You can see that optic nerve glioma is one kind of deformity of the optic nerve. So generally the brain and then central nervous system is made up of nerve cells and glial cells. The function of the glial cells is support and protect the nerve cells of the brain and central nervous system. So in case of glial cells has defects, it's considered to be as a low grade brain tumors which are present in the optic chiasma. So here the nerve cells are out of control. As a result, a small tumors will be seen in the optic chiasma. Symptoms of optic nerve glioma are nausea, vomiting, balance problem, vision disturbance and headaches. You can see that here the left side of the eye, drooping of the eyelid, and there is a problem of the vision problem due to the tumors in the within the optic chiasma. So let us see the ciliary ganglion and give the different names. So topographically it's connected to the ciliary nerves of the ophthalmic nerve, a branch of the ophthalmic nerve, and functionally related to the oculomotor nerve. You can see that here is a small pinhead, reddish grey in color, which are located in between the optic nerve and then lateral rectus abducens nerve. So this is the lateral rectus muscle. So it's located near the apex of the orbit. So the ganglia lying on the lateral side of the ophthalmic artery. So this ganglia, it will be consisting of the three roots. Generally these are motor root, sensory root and sympathetic root. The motor root is from the oculomotor nerve, sensory root from the ciliary ganglia and sympathetic root from the T1 segment. You can see that here the structure of the ciliary ganglia. Ciliary ganglia receive the parasympathetic root, purely motor in nature, which is arise from the Edinger-Westphal nucleus of the oculomotor nerve. So the preganglionic fibers is carry the motor nerve fibers synapse with the ciliary ganglia. From where ciliary ganglia it gives the postganglionic fibers, that will be piercing to the sphincter papillae and ciliaris muscle in the form of ciliary nerves, short and long. And similarly, the sympathetic nerve is arise from the T1 spinal segments. The preganglionic fibers that will be synapsed with the superior cervical ganglia. From there, the postganglionic fibers is passes through the internal carotid artery. Then it will passes through the ciliary ganglia without any further relay. Then it will supply to the blood vessels of the eyeball and dilator papillae. And similarly, you can see that there is a sensory route is carried by the nasociliary nerve, which is the branch of the ophthalmic nerve, a division of the trigeminal nerve. This nerve, further any delay of the ciliary ganglia, that will supply to the muscles of the cornea, ciliary body and iris. It is a purely sensory in nature. And one more nerve is there here, oculomotor nerve, which give the nerve to inferior oblique, that will passes through the lower border of the ciliary ganglia. And this nerve to inferior oblique nerve that will be piercing to the inferior oblique muscle of the extraocular muscles, and some of the nerve fibers that will be anastomosis with the ciliary nerves, that will be contribution to the formation of the to supply the intraocular muscles of the eyeball. So that means there is a here the intraocular muscles are supplied by the T1 spinal segment, Edinger-Westphal nucleus and nasociliary nerve, and a small contribution by the nerve to inferior oblique. The fibers are synapsed with the ciliary nerves that will supply to the intraocular muscles, and other extraocular muscles are supplied by the three cranial nerves, the oculomotor nerve, abducens nerve and trochlear nerve. So you can see that here the ophthalmic nerve, which is the first branch of the trigeminal nerve, soon after it will be divided into three divisions: lacrimal nerve, frontal nerve and nasociliary nerve. Before entering into the orbit via superior orbital fissure, the nerve is divided into three divisions. So let us see the lacrimal nerve. The lacrimal nerve is a branch of the ophthalmic nerve, enter the orbit via superior orbital fissure, runs along the upper border of the lateral rectus muscle and lacrimal artery. Then it will be supplied to the lacrimal gland, conjunctiva and upper eyelid. And here you can see that one communicating branches that will be arise from the lacrimal nerve, that will be anastomosis with the zygomatico-temporal nerve, which is the branch of the maxillary nerve, and further the terminal end of the lacrimal nerve that ramify with the branches of the facial nerve. So let us see the frontal nerve, which is passes through the superior orbital fissure, then enter into the orbit. Then at the level of the middle of the orbit, it divides into two branches. One is the supratrochlear nerve, supraorbital nerve. So the supraorbital nerve is distributed to the forehead, scalp, upper eyelid and frontal sinus. It divides into two branches, the medial and then lateral branches. The supratrochlear nerve is concerned, that will be supplied to the central forehead and then upper eyelid. Let us see the nasociliary nerve, and because the nasociliary nerve, it gives the so many branches, you can see that the red color is indicated to the branches of the nasociliary nerve. So let us see the course and relation of the nasociliary nerve. So it enters the lateral wall of the cavernous sinus, and then from there it will exit from the sinus, enter into the orbit through the superior orbital fissure, and passes between the divisions of the oculomotor nerve, because the nerve is divides into superior division and inferior division. And further, these nerves that will be crosses the above the optic nerve and then ophthalmic artery, and passes two heads of the lateral rectus muscle, and further this nerve is passes between the superior oblique and medial rectus muscle. Then it will passes through the anterior ethmoidal foramina, where it will be divided into two divisions, anterior ethmoidal and then infratrochlear. Now you can see that here the anterior ethmoidal nerve, from where there is a divisions are there, small division. One is the anterior ethmoidal nerve, other one is the infratrochlear nerve, that will be supplied to the lateral wall of the nose. You can see that here there is a long and short ciliary nerves that really passes through the ciliary ganglia, and then posterior ethmoidal nerve, and one more communicating branches are there. These are the branches of the lacrimal nerve, communicate with the zygomaticotemporal nerve, that is another nerve. And the sympathetic nerves of the orbit. The sympathetic nerves passes through the ophthalmic nerve and nasociliary nerve, and long ciliary branches, and other sympathetic nerves enter the orbit as follows: plexus of the ophthalmic artery, branches from the internal carotid plexus, passes through the superior orbital fissure and join the ciliary nerves. We already know from the T1 segments. Let us see the cranial nerves of the brain. 12 cranial nerves is consisting of the entire brainstem and then brain. So regarding the today's topic is concerned, oculomotor nerve is a purely motor in nature, which is arise from the ventral aspect of the brainstem, particularly midbrain. The trochlear nerve, which is the only nerve which is arise from the dorsal aspect of the midbrain at the level of the inferior colliculus. Then abducens nerve, which is purely motor in nature, which is arise from the pontomedullary junction of the brainstem. So these three nerves are very important. Let us see the functional components of the oculomotor nerve, trochlear nerve, abducens nerve, and it's consisting of the two nucleus, oculomotor nucleus, which carry the general somatic efferent fibers. Then that will be piercing to the extraocular muscles except superior oblique and lateral rectus muscle. The Edinger-Westphal nucleus is a purely motor in nature, parasympathetic fibers, synapse with the ciliary ganglia. Then it will be piercing to the intraocular muscles. The trochlear nucleus, which carry the general somatic efferent, that will be piercing to the superior oblique muscle. And similarly abducens nucleus, which is the sixth cranial nerve, that carry the general somatic efferent, that will be piercing to the lateral rectus muscle. So all the three nerves are motor in nature. So you can see that there is once again the extraocular muscles of the eyeball, and then piercing by the 3 cranial nerves of the oculomotor nerve. It consisting of the 2 nucleus, oculomotor nucleus, Edinger-Westphal nucleus, that will separate the intraocular muscles, and whereas the oculomotor nucleus is divides into superior division and inferior division, that will supply to all the extraocular muscles except superior oblique lateral rectus. You can see that one more nucleus here, trochlear nucleus, that will be piercing to the superior oblique muscle. The abducens nerve consisting of the abducens nucleus, that will be piercing to the inferior rectus. So here you can see that there is the action of the extraocular muscles, inferior oblique, inferior rectus, superior rectus, lateral rectus, and then medial rectus. And these are the common actions of the extraocular muscles. Regarding the levator palpebrae superioris is concerned, it will be assist for the elevating and retracting the upper eyelid and assist for the facial expression. And you can see that there is here the ophthalmic artery, course and relation. These are the important artery of the orbit. The intracranial course is concerned, the ophthalmic artery is the first branch of the internal carotid artery after arise from the cavernous sinus, and it follows the short intracranial course. Let us see. The ophthalmic artery is a branch of the internal carotid artery, enter the orbit through the optic canal, then it will be correspondence with the nasociliary nerve. You can see that there is a nasociliary nerve, and further it will run between the 2 muscles of the superior oblique, medial rectus. Then it will be terminate near the medial angle of the upper eyelid by dividing into supratrochlear and dorsal nasal arteries, and at the level of the middle cranial fossa, the ophthalmic artery, it gives the supraorbital and supratrochlear. From there the lateral branches gives the posterior ethmoidal artery, anterior ethmoidal artery, dorsal nasal artery, supratrochlear artery. So one of the arteries there which is directly arise from the ophthalmic artery, the central retinal artery, it passes beneath the optic nerve. So these are the branches of the ophthalmic artery. You can see that central retinal artery and posterior ciliary artery, as there are 2 types of small artery as well as the long artery is there, and anterior ciliary artery which is directly coming from the muscular artery, dorsal and external nasal arteries, lacrimal artery, lacrimal gland, anterior and posterior ethmoidal arteries, supraorbital supratrochlear artery, medial palpebral branch. So these are the common branches of the ophthalmic artery. Let us see the image. So here the central retinal artery is passed through the optic canal, is directly coming from the ophthalmic artery, and lies behind the 1 centimeter behind the eyeball. It divides into smaller, superior and inferior branches. You can see that very small branches, that is called as a end arteries. So here the end arteries that will be supplied to the retina, and lesion of these arteries leads to the permanent blindness. So because this central retinal artery that will be supplied to the optic tract or optic nerve, you can see that there is a supraorbital artery and supratrochlear artery. Supraorbital and supratrochlear. So here the supraorbital artery is the terminal part of the ophthalmic artery. It is arises from the superior medial aspect of the orbit, accompanied by the trochlear nerve and supratrochlear vein. And supraorbital artery is also terminal branch of the ophthalmic artery, along with the dorsal nasal artery. It is arises from the superior medial aspect of the orbit. Then it will be supplied to the forehead, upper eyelid, periosteum. And let us see the lacrimal artery. So you can see that is a lacrimal artery. So this lacrimal artery passes on the lateral rectus muscle and communicate with the middle meningeal artery. It's supplied to the lacrimal gland, upper eyelid and conjunctiva. It gives the several branches. You can see that small branches are there. Two zygomatico branches supply to the zygomatico-facial, zygomatico-temporal area, and two lateral palpebral arteries that will be supplied to the eyelid. And let us know about the glandular artery that will supply to the lacrimal gland, recurrent meningeal branches, and you can see that one more small branch is there. There is a muscular branch. This is a supply to the muscles of the orbit. So let us see the muscular artery. It supplies the rectus muscles of the eyeball and gives the anterior ciliary artery. So the anterior ciliary artery is a branch of the muscular artery that will supply to the sclera, conjunctiva and iris. And regarding the posterior ciliary arteries are concerned, it divides into two, short and long. You can see that long ciliary artery, short ciliary artery. The long is supplied to the iris, the short one is the supply to the choroid and ciliary process. So let us see the branches. The anterior and posterior ethmoidal arteries, you can see that here, posterior ethmoidal artery, anterior ethmoidal artery. It passes through the anterior and posterior ethmoidal foramina. So these are two foramina we are going to observe: posterior ethmoidal foramina, anterior ethmoidal foramina, and so to supply the ethmoidal air sinuses, nasal cavity, dura mater. And you can see that one more artery, dorsal nasal artery, along with the supratrochlear artery. It supplies the skin on the dorsum of the nose, and similarly the medial palpebral artery that will be supplied to the eyelid. Superior ophthalmic vein and inferior ophthalmic vein. You can see that these are the drains into the cavernous sinus. Both are drains into the cavernous sinus, ophthalmic vein. So the superior ophthalmic vein is a union of supraorbital vein and angular vein. You can see that there is a angular vein is a tributary of the facial vein, and supraorbital vein, that is the drains into the superior ophthalmic vein. Both are meeting together is form the superior ophthalmic vein. The inferior ophthalmic vein receive the tributaries from the orbit, cavernous sinus and pterygoid plexus through the emissary vein to the deep facial vein and join with the superior ophthalmic vein. Here you can see that here superior ophthalmic vein. So that's why if it is the infection of the face, that will be directly communicate with the superior ophthalmic vein and inferior ophthalmic vein. Superior ophthalmic vein receive the blood from the angular vein of the facial vein tributary, and regarding the inferior ophthalmic vein is concerned, it receive the blood from the deep facial vein of the through the pterygoid plexus. So both are finally drains into the cavernous sinus. These are the competency based curriculum of MCI. Read the question carefully. And these are the common questions of the medical university. Ophthalmic nerve is ophthalmic artery, both are claimed for the essay question. And optic nerve, either it is a short essay or essay question. And branches of the ophthalmic artery, there is so many branches are present: anterior ciliary, posterior ciliary, lacrimal artery, supraorbital, supratrochlear, anterior ethmoidal, posterior ethmoidal, central retinal artery. So we have to carefully read out all these things. Ophthalmic vein, how the infection is spread through the ophthalmic vein to the cavernous sinus, and branches of the ophthalmic nerve, that means it gives the 3 branches. Thank you very much for watching my video. Thank you.